And then start to let go even of the attention completely on the breath and just let yourself breathe while starting to focus a little bit more on the body. So coming back into that, leaning the shoulders back, or not leaning them back, pulling them back a little bit, lifting up from the top of the head, engaging through the back muscles, and then take your hands on the front of your lower ribs, so the bottom of the ribs, and pull the ribs away from your hands. And then if you found that you rounded your shoulders forward when you did that, pull the shoulders back, and then you might need to pull the ribs back in again. It's a constant play, right? All right, from there, we're gonna walk our hands forward. So let's all sit down now. Okay, if it's not comfortable to have both knees bent in, you can have one leg out or both legs out. And we're gonna start to walk forward over our legs, coming into a forward bend. And then extend through the top of the head forward so you can round at the beginning and then lift your head so that your neck is long, and then lift the top of the head forward and then pull your hips back. Doesn't need to be super extreme, just a lengthening through the back. And then walk yourself over to your right side. Just gentle, just moving and waking up the body. And then walking yourself over to our left. So the one benefit of being at home is we're not jumping out of bed and rushing out the door. But what that means is we maybe are honoring the body and waking up a little bit more slowly. We're honoring our natural body clock and maybe waking up a little bit more slowly than we normally do, right? So then come back to the center and then roll yourself up. And so we can do these little, can kind of see what's going on in the body a little bit more and do these little movements and just kind of figure out where we're holding everything, right? So holding that tightness. Come into all fours. Let's do the same thing here. So very, very gentle. Lift the head towards the front wall or camera or whatever's in front of you. And then pull those lower ribs up into the back of the body. And then pull the hips back. So you might not have your hands on your ribs, but imagine they're there. And lift it away from the floor. And then maybe come into a little bit of an arch. So now we're going to let ourselves dump a little bit through the lower back. Pull the back of the head back. Look up, and then exhale, now curl and round, and take your head and look back towards your belly button, and bring your pubic bone towards your face towards your pubic bone, and then let's get long. So this neutral position, ribs are lifted, head is long, neck is long, hips are back, and then we can dump a little bit, come more into like a relaxed back bend, and then exhale and curl. And then we're going to find that neutral position. Head is long in front of us. Okay, now feet are tucked and lift the hips back to your downward facing dog. Pedal out your feet. Lift one heel and then the other. Squeeze those triceps together towards each other at the front of the mat. And then you can release the heels down. Walk forward so not quite so cut off. Lift the hips up towards the ceiling. And then come back down into your child's pose. So take your hips down, knees wide, arms long. Child's pose, forehead down to the floor. Push the forearms down, push the shoulders down. And then you can move the head side to side. All right, tuck the toes under, come back, downward facing dog. And stretch through the calves. So we're gonna move a little bit more slowly today, a little bit more mindful, a little bit more restorative at the end. Lift the hips up and then start to walk the feet forward. So you can kind of feel this whole class like you're moving through molasses or water or something, right? So just make this much more about feeling every point, for example, of the bottom of the feet. Feel the whole sole of the feet. So with the feet down, let's just kind of sway over the legs, moving side to side. And then let the head relax. So giving yourself permission to slow down a bit here.
All right, push into the feet and then scoop the belly, roll and round yourself all the way up. You can even yawn and then open the arms all the way up to the ceiling. And then interlace the fingers and let's reach up through the back of the body. Thumbs up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, fall forward over the legs. Inhale to flat back. You can always bend your knees here. And exhaling back into the body. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. And exhaling, bringing the hands down to the heart center. Inhaling all the way up. Interlace the fingers, reach the palms up to the ceiling. And your ribs are really sticking out now. Pull the ribs back in, lift from the back of the body. And then exhaling the arms all the way down to the floor. And inhale to flat back. And exhaling back into the legs. Inhaling all the way up. And one thing I didn't say, bring the hands to the heart center, because we're having this a little bit slower, more grounded practice, is have the legs wide for the Tadasana today, even maybe slightly wider than hip width, but at least hip width, right? All right, inhaling all the way up. And it was interesting, I naturally did that today because I naturally knew I needed to feel the floor more today. Inhaling, take the palms up, and exhaling, falling forward over the legs. Inhale to flat back, bend your knees if you want to, especially today. Exhale down, and inhale, come all the way back up to stand. And bring the hands to the heart center. Good, and then go ahead and do 3 rounds of those by yourself. Inhaling. So into our half sun salutes. Inhaling up. Don't forget that little reach at the top with that interlace of the finger that we're adding today. Pull the ribs in. And then exhale, come forward over the legs. And then I'll shut up and let you guys do 3 nice rounds. One breath per movement, so inhaling, exhaling. Probably have one more. Then we'll meet standing in Tadasana in our wide Tadasana. If you're in your Tadasana, bring your hands to your heart center, roll the shoulders back and close your eyes and come into a little bit of a meditation here. So concentrating on just breathing in and out. All right, and then slowly open the eyes. Look down at your feet and make sure that they are as even as possible so that the inside, you're not rolling onto the right foot, but pressing into the inside of the left foot. They're not facing different ways. Just gonna move to the front. You can see me a little bit. I was just looking at my foot. My right was a little bit more in, my left was out. So just get that really nice, even stance on the feet. Okay, we're gonna sit down into our Utkatasana, our chair pose. We're not gonna stay long, but I just want us to get that nice heaviness through both bottom and both feet. So we're gonna take our hands to our hips, roll the shoulders back, and then just sit down into our chair pose. Pull the hips back so it's that lightning bolt position. Right, nice long back. You can have a little bit of a back bend in the upper back, but try to keep those ribs contained. And then inhale, come up. Exhale, let's go down again. Get really heavy on the feet. So you're feeling every point of the foot that's touching the floor. And then lift up. 2 more just like that. Great way to warm up the legs in the morning. And then come up. 1 more. And then come up. Good. All right. Let's come into a, no, you know what, we're gonna skip the squats and we don't have to go get all our props. Let's inhale the arms all the way up. Sit back into our Utkatasana. Exhale, come all the way back up with the arms this time. And then one more, and this time we'll keep going on. Sit down into your Utkatasana, and then exhale, come forward over the legs this time. We'll inhale to a flat back. Exhale, let's step directly into a downward facing dog. From there, we're gonna inhale into our plank, and then exhale all the way down to the floor. Put the forehead on the floor, tops of the toes, tops of the feet on the floor, toes reaching away. Take the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers, pull the hands away from the head, and let them be what lifts you up into a low cobra. And then exhale, come down to the floor. Inhale up, and exhale down. One more. Inhale up, and exhale down. Take the hands underneath the shoulders. Tuck your toes under, bring your hips to your heels, and then come in through your downward facing dog. And then we're just gonna walk our feet to meet our hands. Inhale to flat back, and exhaling back into the legs. Inhale, let's go ahead and bend through the knees, sit into Utkatasana, and then push through the feet and come up into the stand. All right, let's go ahead and do that again. Inhale, arms up, sit back, Utkatasana. Exhale, over the legs, Uttanasana. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, step yourself back, downward facing dog. And then come forward into your plank. Lower down all the way to the floor. Interlace your fingers. Inhale, up. And exhale down. Inhale up. And exhale down. Inhale. Exhale, release. Take your hands underneath your shoulders. Roll the shoulders back. Bring your hips to your heels, child, and exhaling back, downward facing dog. And then walk your feet to meet your hands again. I'm doing some kind of weird moving around just to keep myself in the frame between this on the stairway here, but you guys can just be normal. Okay, practice normally. Inhale, do a flat back. Exhaling down, inhale, come all the way up. And then bring your hands to your heart center. This is the quietest place in my house to teach, so that's why I'm kind of maneuvering to be able to stay here. All right, inhaling up, hands up, and sit down, Utkatasana. And then exhaling down, Uttanasana. Inhale, and exhale. Step yourself back, downward facing dog. And then inhale, come forward. Exhaling all the way down. This time we're gonna come into a back asana. We're gonna take our right arm forward, so it's gonna be parallel in front of us. Push into the hand and lift out of that shoulder, okay? Push the right arm down, forearm down to the floor. Reach your left arm forward and then reach around and grab that hold of the inside of that left foot and pull it towards your hip. And then lift up through that belly button. And then stay there, or you can start to take those fingertips to go the same direction as your toes. You're gonna get a big quad stretch here. Push into the left hip flexor. Unless you've got some kind of psoas pull or psoas injury, this should feel pretty good. So push that heel down, lift through the chest, breathe into the front of the thigh. If you've been doing extend or running or any kind of climbing, this should feel really, really nice. All right, release that. Take your left forearm forward, take your right arm forward, and reach for the inside of the right foot. Pull that foot down, and then maybe turn the fingers to face forward. And then unless you've pulled your psoas or something like that, you can go ahead and push into the hip flexor. All right, release that. Take your hands underneath your chest and then lift yourselves up to a little bit more of a higher cobra. Look over the right shoulder, pull the belly in, lift from the abs, look over the left shoulder, and then tuck your toes under and come back into your downward facing dog. All right, we're gonna take our right leg up to the ceiling here and then leave that left heel reaching towards the floor, either on the floor or reaching towards it. Push the right rib cage, side of the rib cage towards the floor so you're even and then hug that right knee in. Bring the right knee towards your head and put the foot between your hands. Take your left foot heel down towards the floor, come up, warrior one. You can interlace the fingers for this one too. Lift the back of the body up towards the ceiling, push into that right heel. Squeeze those ears with the upper arms. Good, bring the hands down to either side of that front foot. Step yourself into a plank. Lower yourself all the way to the floor. I'm teaching this as more of a gentle class today, so I'm not going through chaturanga. I'm coming all the way to the floor. If you're dying for chaturanga, go ahead and do it. Take your hands next to your chest and then lift up into a low cobra and exhaling down. Inhale, come back, downward facing dog. Again, trying to not do all these little adjustments I'm doing to keep myself kind of narrow and small today, right? So you can see me. All right, we did right leg up, so now we're doing left leg up. And now we need to drop that left side of the rib cage, lift the left leg, and reach the right heel down to the floor. You can even wiggle that left foot. And then turn the left hip down. And bring the left knee to the nose, put the foot between the hands. Take that right heel down to the floor, come into your warrior one. Hands up. Let's interlace the fingers, reach them up, squeeze the ears with your arms. Pull the ribs in. All right, hands down on either side of that front foot. Step yourself plank. Lower all the way down to the floor. Low cobra. Exhaling down. Come back. Downward facing dog. All right, let's just walk forward for today. So we're having a gentler class. We're just gonna walk, no jumping. Inhale to a flat back, exhaling back into the legs. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Exhale, bring the hands to the heart center. Roll the shoulders back. Lift from the back of the body up towards the ceiling. So I like to think of lifting from the bottom of my rib cage, but from the back. So lifting from here up. All right, and then pull the ribs in. Let's sit back, Utkatasana. This time we're going to twist. So again, make this less about the oomph and the strength and more about opening the body. So we're going to not stay for too long. So this is not necessarily a gentle position, but we're going to try to find this kind of quietness in it. I'm going to sit back in our Utkatasana. Take the hands up to the ceiling and then bring your hands to your heart. Then take your right hand into that right hip crease and twist over. So you're hooking that tricep over your left thigh. Now my left hip wants to come forward. I've got to pull the left knee back there by pulling the left hip back. You see my feet are still pretty wide. I'm not doing this narrow today. And then I'm twisting, pull the belly in, twist. I'm not staying too long. And then come back up to center. And for today, because we're being so nice to ourselves, we actually get to come up in the middle. And then we're going to sit back again. And bring the hands to the heart center. Left hand in the left hip crease as you pull your right arm over the left. Now what we want to do is pull the belly button away from the left thigh, pull the right hip back, and breathe. And then reach the top of your head forward. This, I'm getting into this really funky area on my shoulder here. So let yourself feel all the different places where this can create some opening. All right, and then come up and stand up, bring your hands to your heart center. We're gonna keep going. So sit back, exhale all the way down, and then step yourself back into let's go through plank now. And then lower all the way down. You can skip plank at any point, just come to downward dog. Inhaling up and exhaling down. Tuck your toes under, come back, downward dog. Inhale to, not flat back, sorry. Inhale the right leg up, turn the leg under, bring your right knee to your nose, put the foot between your hands, draw yourself up, warrior one. And then we're going to open up warrior two, so that right leg stays exactly the same. The left toes turn to face the outside, but my left hip keeps coming forward. I'm not squaring my hips towards the front, because look, then my right knee falls in. So I'm keeping that left hip forward. The only thing that's facing the side is my upper body. Oh, and my back toes. That's it. My hips are actually angled that way. Okay, staying for 4 deep, long breaths. Pull the ribs in. Go ahead, inhale, and exhale for 4. And then taking your left arm down that left leg into your peaceful warrior. Right arm up, and then take your forearm down to that right thigh. If you really want to, you can take your right hand down to a block or a book or something to the inside and push that right leg open. Okay, or you can just stay here. You're working towards having this right angle on this right leg. I'm not going to do that because I've got a hip injury. So I'm going to stay a little bit more like this. But unless you've got hip things going on, then you can start to really get deep there, as long as you're using those hip muscles, leg muscles to provide stability. Because we're not just sitting in our joints, right? Which is how I got the hip injury. All right, and then take the left hand behind you and reach around for the top of that right thigh. So wherever you are, you can start to reach for that thigh. And then we're rotating our upper body up towards the ceiling. All right, and then let's straighten through that right leg. Keep your left hand, for today, keep your left hand behind the back and take your right hand down to your ankle, behind you to the floor. It can be up on your shin, and you're in your triangle pose. Squeeze the right hip, squeeze the left hip. Open your upper body towards the ceiling. Stay here for 5 breaths. All right, we're just gonna fall over the right leg, turn those left toes in, walk them forward and hang forward over our right foot. And then bring our left foot to meet our right and come up Utkatasana. And stand up, Tadasana. Let's keep going. Inhale, sit down. Exhale, fall over the legs, widen the feet if you've brought them narrow. Inhale to a flat back, exhaling back, step yourself back. Plank pose this time. Had to remember. Exhaling all the way down. Inhale, cobra, and exhaling down. Tuck your toes under, and downward facing dog. All right, and this time we've got our left leg coming up. And then we're bringing our knee to our nose, put the foot between the hands, warrior 1. And you're gonna try to get deep on that left leg, arms up. And open up warrior 2. Again, right hip facing forward, upper body to the side. Stay for 4 breaths. Trying to get a right angle on that left leg. Really squeezing those hips into the midline. Right hand down, left arm up, and then reach forward into either hand down on the floor, forearm on the front thigh, maybe in the back, and then reach that right arm up and grab hold of the left thigh. Squeezing that right hip in to support everything. Squeeze the left hip. Look up towards the ceiling. All right, start to straighten through that left leg. Come into your triangle pose. Lift up through the left kneecap. Squeeze the hips. All right, release the right hand down to the floor, left hand down, walk that right foot in, and come to hang over the legs. Keep breathing. And then we're gonna walk that back foot in, sit into Utkatasana, and come up. Bring the hands to the heart center. We're gonna go through that sequence one more time on each side, and then we'll move on. Let's do our twist again. So bringing the feet a little bit wider, sit down, bring the hands to the heart center, and twist over to your right. Pull the arms back in the shoulder sockets, pull the left hip back, left knee back, and then come back to the center, and then come up, and then sit back down one more time. Bring the hands to the heart center, twist over to the other side, pull the right hip back, right knee back, twist. And then come back, and let's just fall down this time to the center. All right, step yourself back. Plank pose, again, you can always come to your downward dog, especially today. All right, coming all the way down to the floor. And let's do that back asana again, because it feels so good, and we're gonna do some nice hip openers after this. So right forearm and forward, left hand forward, reach for the inside of that left foot, pull it in, reach in the left hip flexor if that's available, and then maybe turn the fingers the other way. Push into the right forearm, roll the right shoulder back, lift through the abs. And then send all the breath to the front of that left thigh. And then release that left forearm, right arm forward, inside the foot, and then bring that right heel towards the hip, push into the right hip. And then release that. And take the hands underneath the chest, come back into child and then downward dog. One more time with the sequence on each side. Take the right leg up, bring the right knee to the nose, put the foot between the hands in warrior one. Open up warrior two. Take the left arm down, come into your bound. So it's kind of a half bind, Parshvottanasana. And then we're opening up and then lifting up into triangle pose. And then lifting, coming over the front right leg. And then from there, we're gonna push into the right leg and just come to hang over the feet, but then roll up to stand. From there, we're gonna face forward and come to stand on the right leg. Inhaling, make sure don't shove your hips forward, keep your hips over your legs, and take your left knee into your chest. And then we're gonna turn that open. So if balance is an issue, come over to a wall and put your hip against a wall, okay? Or you can always just reach out, put a hand there, okay? So be gentle with yourselves today. This is about the hip opener. It's about the balance if you want it to be, but if you're falling over, grab something. Okay, push it, but first, let's actually establish the balance. Push in the right big toe, back of the right heel, and right baby toe. Lift the left leg up, turn that left hip out. Bend the right knee slightly, and then we're putting that left leg on top of our right in a number 4 position. If you have a hip injury and you're not able to do such a turned out position, you're gonna kind of maybe pull the foot down here, or maybe you're gonna keep it here, or maybe you're just gonna keep the foot on the ground. Okay, I'll let you decide on that. Squeeze everything together. From there, we're gonna take our hands to our heart center. We might just stay here, standing up, or you might start to bend forward over that leg. Another way to cheat this with the balance is to start moving back and take your hips to the wall behind you. You don't have as much, well, no, you kind of have available. You can kind of keep going there. Okay, so your hands are on your heart, chest is moving back, bend through the knees. Give me 1 second. Keep going. Keep staying in that position. If I hear that again, excuse me, I'm teaching you guys. Mom will get away from his chair. Louie, what are you working on? Get away from his chair. Sorry. It's the problem with working at home with 2 children at home. Okay, so you're here.
All right, and then you can come up for a second because I left you there for so long while I yelled at my children. But if you, let's come back into it. I'm gonna give you one more option. If you hated that, you're gonna come into tree pose. And you're gonna stay there. If you like that, you wanna keep going, you like the stretch, take your left leg over your right, bend forward, keep bending forward, and then maybe start to bring your hands down towards the floor or onto some blocks. So your hands can be up on blocks here. If you really liked it, then you might decide you're gonna bend all the way down. And then there's a little balance trick here. I might take one hand off and then the other. Whoa. It's called toe stand. Scoop the belly in, balance, and then fall. Okay, and then if you didn't fall, you can come all the way up. And then shake that out. All right, and then we're just gonna actually fall forward and come back into our downward facing dog. And then let's collect ourselves here. So take a few breaths. Bring squeeze your triceps together, ears in line with your arms. And then lift the left leg up to the ceiling, bring your left knee to your nose, put the foot between your hands, come back into your warrior one. And open up warrior two. Squeeze that right hip in, squeeze that left hip in, right arm down, left arm forward into your side angle. And then lift up into your triangle pose, Trikonasana. Pull the ribs in, head reaching forward. Good, take your right hand down, right leg in, and fall forward over the legs. All right, from there, bring your right foot forward, come all the way up. So we were on our right foot before, now we're gonna be on our left foot. Okay, so if you hated that whole experience on the other side, I encourage you to try it on this side as everything's imbalanced in our bodies most of the time, right? Most of us have one side that's more open, one side that hurts less, etc. So I encourage you to try this on the other side, even if it didn't work for you on the first side. However, try it. If it doesn't work, you're gonna come into your tree pose and you're gonna stand. And tree pose can be down here too, okay? And you're gonna stay there. Okay, otherwise, you're taking your right leg over your left and bring your hand to your heart center, and then we're starting to bend forward as we send our hips back. So all that Utkatasana we were doing is preparation for this pose, right? It's still, we're working towards that lightning bolt position. So you can stay here. This is an incredible stretch. Or you can start to bring your hands down to the floor or to blocks, and then you can even straighten the leg, although be careful not to jam the knee back here, because that tends to happen, this one. So I like to keep a little bit of a bent knee. And then maybe you can sit down in it. If you're sitting down in it like this, then try the balance, right? So we call this yoga practice, not yoga performance for a reason. It's all practice. It's all just for fun. Ready? Lift your head top of the head to the ceiling. And then go, woo, and then you can fall out of it. Try to come back into it and come all the way up. And if you stayed here in the stretch, that's awesome. Just stay there. All right, let's come to Tadasana and just find ourselves again. And breathe. Good, and we have enough time to do some nice restorative. So we haven't had any chance to do back bend yet, so let's come to the floor and do that. If you have a block, let me get a block to demo. You can use that. If you don't have a block, then you will just use your arms to hold yourself up, which can be really restorative as well. So coming to sit on the floor and lie down on the back. We've been doing this one, so you guys know this. First,
we'll push into the feet. We have these nice wide feet today. And we'll push into the feet, lift the hips, hinge yourself up, and then interlace the hands beneath the back and push your forearms down towards the floor. Now, you can stay there. If you don't have a block, stay there, or a book or something. If you have something to rest your hips on, then come down and then come back up again, and we're gonna stick a block under our backs. So you'll inhale, come all the way up, and then either take the block, I think this is medium height, it's not that high, or highest height would be about there. And then I like to reestablish my feet, make sure I'm feeling really solid on both feet. This class has really been about grounding. We've been doing a lot of feeling in the bottom of the feet. Do it here again. Make sure your legs aren't splaying out to the side. Pull them towards one another, inner thighs moving down. And then take your hands down. You can interlace your fingers here. So wherever you are, whether you're supporting yourself with your arms or you're on something, you're going to just close your eyes now and stay here for a little bit. And find your breath. All right, from there, we're gonna move our hands out of the way, push into our feet, and lift the hips off the block, if you have a block, and then start to roll down from your sternum all the way down to the floor. And just give yourself a second on your back to breathe. And then we're gonna roll over onto our right side and come up all the way to sit. And before we go in to the rest of the lying down, kind of more restorative poses, but lying or sitting, but more, still poses, let's do one more stretch. Take our legs out to Upavishta Konasana, wide angle pose with the legs. We're gonna pull our right heel into our groin, right knee down to the side. Okay, you can sit up on something here if you've got your rolled up yoga mat or towel or blanket, whatever you have. It can be nice to sit up on something. All right, so now we've got the foot is just, can't really see my foot, move that way. All right, I think we've done this one before. We're gonna take our right hand behind us, left hand on top of the right thigh, and twist over to the right side. And let's just sit with that for a breath or two. And I want you to get used to leaning heavily into that right hip. Push down in the front of the right groin. So it's almost like you're sticking your butt out slightly on the right side. Okay, from there, we're gonna do this back bend. This is what I'd like my back bend to look like. That's not what it's gonna look like, but I would like to make it look like I'm going over behind me on a beach ball. And I'm just leaning back, and then I'm leaving my right arm for now. And then this left hand is gonna start to reach out for my my left leg. And then maybe it's my palm. I like my palm up. Your palm should be up if you can, then the shoulder opens. And then keep twisting to your right. And then maybe lift your right arm up and then reach over. Now, I have found that if I let ego get in the way, I don't get as good a stretch. So for me personally, pushing this right hip down and staying about here is actually where I get the best opening on the right side of my body.
in the right hip and the right rib cage. The full expression of pose is actually down here where you reach for that right foot, you grab it, and then you twist open. Actually feels pretty good, but for me personally, right about there, while I still can keep that back bend, actually my sweet spot. So try to do this one without worrying too much about how far you're going. All right, and then come up. Oh, and then just come to the center. All right, coming to the other side, right leg out, left leg in. Same thing, move so you can see me. All right, so same thing where we're gonna get really heavy on that left hip. It's almost like we're sticking our butt out on the left side a little bit. All right, and every side's different. So this side, it might feel better to come a little further. Left hand behind you, right hand on top of the left thigh, and then lift the chest. Pretend that I look like I'm doing this back bend over a beach ball. And then my right arm is reaching over. And then maybe I add the left arm. And then I might stay there, or I might start keeping that left hip down, which is the tough part. I might try to reach for that right foot and then twist open. And then come all the way back up. And then close your eyes. Okay. We will do a couple more poses. So let's, first thing we're gonna do is grab a block or your rolled up mat, something, and we're gonna sit in what's called a Virasana. And that is gonna look like this. We're gonna have our knees together, but our heels are apart. So we're gonna be sitting between our heels. So this is a hard one to show on video. I'm not gonna be sitting on my heels like a regular kneeling position. My feet are off to the side, like that. Now that can be really hard on knees for people. So what I'd like you to do is get a block or some kind of height, everybody, and sit on it. And then lean forward and actually take your hands into your shins and make room in your shins. So you're gonna kind of pull your shins out to the, not your shins, your calves, out to the side so that there's room to sit between them. And your heels are on the side. And then there's two magic buttons on either side of your shin that you're gonna squeeze together. And that helps take the weight out of the front of the knees. If the knees hurt, first try squeezing the shins in and creating some muscular energy there. If they still hurt, you're gonna come up and sit a little higher. And this one kind of aggravates that hip injury. So I'm gonna sit up really high for myself today. I can sit on the floor. Here's ego again, right? I can sit on the floor, I'm not going to. Okay, so my ego, I really wanna sit on the floor because I worked really hard to be able to do that. I'm not gonna do it today. Okay, squeeze your shins together, lift the chest, lift the top of the head, and we're just gonna sit here. Find your breath. Okay. Slowly release the breath. So keep breathing, but let go of the attention on the breath. And then we're gonna slowly open our eyes. Come forward onto all fours and then reach your left foot back. Stretch out the back of the leg. Hold it there. Really reach through the back of the heel. And then reach your right leg back. Reach that right heel back, especially. And then we're going to come into pigeon pose. So using your fold up mat or a blanket or a block, let's start in downward dog actually. Bring yourself into downward dog, and then we're going to bring our left knee forward into our pigeons. So my right foot, show it this way. My right foot, the more flexible I am, the further forward that left foot is going to be towards the front of my mat. Otherwise, it's in towards the groin. And my back leg is very much tucked under. I'm not sitting on my left hip. I'm squared off between the two of them. So if your left hip is way off the floor now, you need to put something underneath it to prop it up. Okay, so you might be here is a really nice place to be. One of my teachers sometimes props up her right thigh, which is interesting. I don't know how much good that does. It's kind of nice actually. You could put something under your right thigh. Okay, so now I'm going to inhale, lift my chest, and then exhale, come forward over the legs, and then let your head release. But if your head doesn't come all the way to the floor, get something, put it on your head, so you guys can see me move. Put your head on top of something. And then you're just going to completely let go. So this is a piriformis and a hip stretch, but it's also a very restorative, calming, cooling pose. You can play with sending the inhale into that hip. So imagine you're directing all of your breath to all that tightness. All right, and then start to walk up and put yourself back into a downward facing dog. And then we're going to switch sides. So take your right leg forward, and this side might feel completely different. So you might need to not prop up on the side, or maybe you didn't prop up on the other side and the side you need to. So same thing, that the more flexible you are in your hips, you'll push this leg a little further forward. Otherwise, it comes a little bit more into the groin. But either way, you are squared off, not leaning to one side. That back foot is totally parallel. And you can't see my back foot, but I'm trying hard not to sickle it. I'm trying hard not to turn it in. I'm trying to keep it neutral. Okay, and then come forward over your leg. Just as much as you need to, and then try to find stillness.
And then we're going to go ahead and push ourselves up to sit. And we're going to get ready for Shavasana. So let's find a place, if you can, at a wall or in front of a couch. If you're at a couch, if you can get to the back of the couch, that's great. So your legs can be up the couch. If you are in front of the couch, your legs can be at a right angle on the couch, just like that, because we're going to do our Shavasana as our also as our inversion. Okay. If you're at a wall, you'll get yourself up to the wall, and you'll get your hips there, and then you'll swing your legs up. And I'm trying, and part of it will be the length of your hamstrings, but I'm trying to get the backs of my legs to touch the wall. And I'll be here. And if I had a yoga block with me, then I could also stick it on top of my feet here, or a book or anything. And that kind of keeps the inner thighs rolling in. It just kind of feels nice. And then your arms will be out to the side. Before you get into that position, let's do one last twist. So kind of you have an idea of where you're going to be going in your Shavasana. Let's do one last spinal twist on our backs. So we're going to bend our knees in. Super simple. Roll the legs over to the left, right arm out to the right, and look over. Take a few breaths here. And then come back to the center, and then twist over to the right side. And legs up, and arm over the left, legs to the right. And look over your left arm. All right, then push yourself up to sit. Find your spot. If you have a chair, you can also do legs on the chair. And we're going to come into Shavasana. And we'll do the same thing we've been doing, where I'm going to leave you in your Shavasana, but I'm going to keep the meeting open. So you can stay there as long as you want. So you can try to get your 10 minutes. Okay, so we're going to bring our hips all the way and legs up the wall. And then we'll do our lion's breath. So come into that position. And then what we're going to do is scrunch your face up, scrunch your fingers up, scrunch your toes up, inhaling, and then exhaling. Eyes back up to the ceiling, tongue out. Okay, we're going to do that 2 more times. Inhaling, exhaling. Okay, last one. Inhaling, exhaling. And totally let go. Release everything. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful week.